and she has the power, or he has the power to prescribe medication, isn't it? But a psychologist is someone who just uses talk therapy to talk to someone and solve problems. Because I've realized sometimes people confuse a psychiatrist and a psychologist.
Yes.
So a psychiatrist is a medical doctor. You are a mental health nurse, and you have the power to prescribe medication.
At my level, yes, because we have different levels.
Okay.
So at my level where I am working, which is a level 4 hospital, I have that capability.
Okay.
Yeah. When we go now to a higher level, which is level 5 and level 6, then I would only administer medication. Yes.
Okay.
So there, the higher levels, we have the doctors now, the clinical officers, or a psychiatrist now, who are specialized in treating mental conditions, prescribing.
Okay.
Yes, but at my level, we do prevent, we do intervene, and we do manage.
Okay.
Yes.
All at the same time. So getting on to our topic today, we'll be talking again about family conflicts, marital conflicts, sibling rivalry, and how that affects our mental health. Because one of the things I've realized in our modern day, Jane, so a medical doctor has the ability to tell maybe the condition is not physical, it could be psychological.
Yeah, and most of the time what we see even in the facilities is when you come into the outpatient department and you have these symptoms which are not explained by the medical aspect, they'll send you to see a counselor. And then so many people are like, no, I'm not sick. But now you see, this is a mental condition. You won't tell it through lab investigations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You cannot take blood work and find out whether you're stressed. So you have to see a counselor to be able to analyze you and diagnose you, isn't it? So it is very important for our viewers to know these symptoms, isn't it, that are stress related. Because I found out, Jane, and correct me if I'm wrong, most of the mental illnesses, the early stages start from the stress level, isn't it?
Yes, that's true.
It's true, isn't it? Yeah. So when, let's say, in your home, there's a family conflict, let's say, for example, the father and the mother are fighting, and you are a child, and that level of tension in your house is affecting you. It can cause you to be stressed, isn't it?
That is so true.
Yeah.
And most of the time what we see now in kids who are stressed or who are living in not favorable environment, we'll see bedwetting. We'll see now poor performances.
That's the lab work and says there's nothing wrong with you. But they send you to the counselor because now they are able to identify this as a mental issue, isn't it?
Issue, yes.
Yeah.
What I would say is it's because stress, when we talk about stress and the reaction of the body, the reaction comes from the brain. Yeah. The same brain that it is an organ that executes every function in our body. By the time now the brain is able to is having stress or is having pressure. Yeah. So meaning that some areas of the brain is affected. One of the areas, it's muscle, the motor part of it, that is the reason, and that explains the body aches.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Is it also true, and you're best to tell us this, when you're stressed, there are some hormones that are released?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Our body is, I would say, a complex.
Yeah.
A complex, it's made up of complex organs and so forth. And now what happens is when
you're stressed, hormones are released.
The hormones, yes, sorry. Now what happens is that the body works in a reward system.
Yeah.
So when you are happy and when you are content, there are some chemicals produced in the body. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But now when you are so stressed, the same body now produces some hormones which are there to help you either fight the stress or even flight.
Yeah, fight or flight.
Yes, you fight or you flight.
So some of the reward hormones is like dopamine.
Yes.
And some of like the hormones released in your brain, or your brain when you are stressed out, is cortisol, isn't it?
Cortisol. You don't want to come to the hospital and be diagnosed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Number 2 is that we also live in a world of, I'll say, not having the right knowledge. So when you experience some of these symptoms, you think that, oh, something else is not right, but you overlook the real problem where it is. So you miss coming to the hospital because of discrimination or because of lack of knowledge.
And let me ask you, because I've seen this, and it's important we address it. Many people, when they have a mental illness, because of lack of knowledge, you realize, yes, you're good-natured, maybe you want to help that person, but you tell them, "Enda church uombewe." There's nothing wrong with prayers. We believe in prayers. But if it's a mental condition like depression, we believe in the power of prayer. But isn't it also very important to seek professional help?
It's important. We say that faith without action.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's dead.
Love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as you pray, it's good to remember that this is a condition that is treatable and
that's the key word.
It is be managed. Yes, it can be managed. So you can't pray your problems out. Yeah.
So if there's a practical solution, go for it.
Exactly.
And that's why we need to be able to embrace psychiatry. You know, unfortunately, in our context, many people have not yet embraced psychiatry. We don't regard it as medicine, but it is a medical field, isn't it? And we need to tell our viewers that when you see someone who has a medical condition, muombe kabisa hatukatai, but refer them to Jane. Cynthia, let them come and see Jane or any other psychiatrist. Because again, and I want us to deal with this before we forget, there is medication. I think, I don't know whether he was a radio show host or something. He took his own life. He's married, he's successful and everything, but then he took his own life, you know? Because, and most people are asking, how can you have such a good job, look good, but then you take your own life? Because sometimes when you're dealing with depression or any other mental disorder, it's possible for you to go to work, look the part.
That is so
But
true.
on the inside, you're dying, isn't it? Because again, as a society, we've not embraced intervention. You mentioned that. So when you're having a mental condition, cry out for help, reach out for help. Cynthia, it's very important.
That is what we encourage all of us to seek for help. It doesn't mean you're weak when you're calling for help. And
I love that. It doesn't mean you're weak.
Yeah, and that is part of what we call self-care. Calling and knowing your limits and then asking for help. Because no man is an island.
No man is an island. We all need each other.
Yeah, we all need each other.
You know, you say something powerful. No, today she's full of nuggets. Crying out for help doesn't mean you're weak. It's very important, especially for men, to understand that. Because the way we are raised in our culture, we have this mindset that when a man is faced with an issue, you deal with it. You don't seek help. But when it comes to mental health, you cannot
in their life with depression. That is a huge number. That is a huge number. And remember, once one person who is sick will also affect the ones who are around them. Yeah. So what we encourage people to do is, it doesn't mean that because you are doing well, you don't have to visit the counseling, any counseling center. You could go, you could air your stress, because most of the care providers will at some point experience some symptoms of depression. And that is what we do not understand. As human beings, it reaches a point that you wear off, you are fatigued, you burn out, and you need now to offload. Yes.
Wow, you've said so much there. And again, it's very important for our viewers to understand. You could be a professional, you could have status, you could have a position, you could be a pastor, you could be a politician, you could be just a common person. No one is immune to mental health issues.
Mental health.
And more so because you said no man is an island, so we are relational beings. We live as a community, we live in our homes, in our families, in our extended families. And that, more often than not, is usually the source of these issues, isn't it? Eh?
Exactly.
And I've realized even when you're counseling people, that sometimes you realize the source of the anxiety, the source of the mental disorder is emanating from a crisis at home.
True,
now,
that is so true.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, charity begins at home, but also a lot of stuff that are not good also begins at home.
At home.
So we need to be able to take care of ourselves even from the context of family. We need healthy homes, healthy families, functional homes. Because a functional home raises a functional child. Cynthia?
Exactly.
A dysfunctional home raises dysfunctional
children who become...
Many people, again, are very bitter.
Yeah.
I know of people who are grown up, married, but they are still bitter with what their parents did to them. Can you imagine what that does to them? And there's something about bitterness when it comes to mental health. Bitterness can be passed on, isn't it? So let's say, for example, a woman is in a marriage that is chaotic. Wanake anamchapa left, right, and center. Then she leaves, and maybe she has a daughter. So growing up, she'll always tell her daughter, men are
they are bad.
Yeah. So she's taking her bitterness, transferring it to that innocent child. So that girl will grow up knowing men. You get what I'm saying? So we need to see the collateral damage that comes with not being able to resolve these issues and how it affects us growing up, isn't it? So this is very broad, and basically what we're saying to our audience is this: even right now at the root level, in your home, with your brother, with your sister, with your father, with your mother, resolve issues.
Yeah, even and most of the time we see it even with in-laws and extended families, all of this, because a family is a setup. We have a family dynamics.
True.
Right? Now what happens is there's some conflict. Conflict is inevitable in human life.
Of course.
At the same time, you should deal with it as it comes. And you see, like most of the major causes of conflict will be communication, the way you communicate. Also, now the finances comes in. The inheritance, the businesses, the family businesses, all of this comes in. But unless now you sit down and you also respect each other's opinions, you might not be able to reach a point of resolving your issues. And this one now in future, it will have...
That is, it sounds, you may be justified, maybe someone did you wrong, you may be justified, but I normally tell people, unforgiveness is a self-imposed prison. When you choose not to forgive, it's like unajipeleka jela, unajifungia na unarusha kifunguo, and then you're crying out for help. It's very important for us to understand people will hurt you.
They will.
People will do you wrong. People, you are good to them, but they will do you wrong. But you have to have the heart to say, you know what? Good riddance. Whatever happened. You hurt me, but for my sake, for my mental health sake, I forgive you, not because I feel like it. Forgiveness has nothing to do with how you feel. It is something you decide to do for your own sake. Cynthia?
And then it lifts up the negative energy. You see?
Yes.
Like when you see that person who wronged you and you already forgave them, there are no negative feelings that are emanating from your body. So you have to realize that this is the negative feelings, they are in you, they are not in them. So they keep on hurting you.
Not
them. If at all it's blood pressure rising, it's rising in you.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because there are some medical conditions that arise from stress, like high blood pressure.
High blood pressure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, even type 2 diabetes?
Now, what happens is the hormone you mentioned, the cortisol. The cortisol, it has a way of rising blood sugar in our body. At the same time, we talked about changes in appetite.
Yeah.
So remember, this person is not looking after themselves in terms of diet and what they are eating. And most of the time, they'll be attracted to junk food.
Oh, poor eating habit.
Poor eating habit.
Comfort food.
The junk food mostly.
Crisp,
the carbs.
chocolate. Yeah.
All those.
Yeah.
So that is where the diabetes now comes in. Because one, this also person is not even exercising. They are not taking the right food.
Yeah.
So and diabetes is a lifestyle disease.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you realize that as much as we are talking now of not getting into a mental illness, we are also preventing a medical condition.
And it's so important our viewers understand that. We see how the...
Yeah. But with positive coping mechanism, you could journal. Journaling is one of them.
Absolutely.
Write down your problems. Write down how you feel, your negative emotions. Most of the time when we feel confusion in our heads and you write it down, at least you have clarity. Yes. Then also the right diet really helps with managing our stress. Exercise is another one. And drinking lots of water.
Drinking lots of water.
Drinking lots of water.
Wow.
Ensure you also go out.
Yeah. Sunshine
is important. It's important. There are some chemicals which are produced when you walk in the sun.
Yeah.
Okay, when you go walking in the nature, there are some chemicals. We talked about the body as being a reward motivating system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you do good things, then your body produces those feel good hormones.
That lift your spirit.
That lift your spirit.
Yeah.
So when you engage in music and the right music, when you engage in watching a movie, also meditation.
Or even hanging out with a friend that makes you laugh.
Hanging out with friends, chatting with them. Communication especially, yes. Communication.
So know the stressors. When it comes to stress, know what is it. You know, if I meet this person, my blood pressure goes up. I have to avoid that person.
You have to.
Isn't it? So know the stressors and then also know what works.
Most of the time you find that when you are living in a very toxic environment, you are not able to function optimally as you should. Yeah. So there is sometimes that you have the grace to move out. Yeah. And that is one of the way that you can deal now with toxic relationship, and especially when the other party is not willing to work with you. All right, so you can avoid. Yeah. Then the other one now, it's the simple now activities that you engage in. Being grateful first for you being there, yes, and also to realize that conflict, it's inevitable.
It is inevitable.
Yeah. In every family we have conflict.
Yeah.
Yes.
In every working place there's conflict.
Yeah, even in workplaces we have.
But in the interest of time, give us your parting shot. What is your parting shot? A few words you can say to our viewers before we go off here.
We should have a work-life balance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we should also realize that some things are there to stay, some things are not. So you have to give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Yes. When you are hit with a challenge, welcome it.